Hello guys, welcome back to Orators Mic Check Season 2. There are certain people on campus whose names you hear before you ever meet them. In discussions about the club you just joined or to the answer of who should I talk to about this. Sania has been at Ashoka for 4 years. In that time, she has led Orators as a president. She has served as the Minister of Academic Affairs and last year was also awarded with the Dean's Exemplary Leadership Award. But titles are almost beside the point. Today we get to actually sit down with her. Sania, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. That was a very flattering introduction. But thanks, yeah.
Right, so it's sorry to bring this up, but it's your last semester, obviously. So have you registered the fact?
I have. I think from the previous semester itself, I have been very big on 3 a.m. Insta Reels, and Instagram knows that I'm graduating. So every night it reminds me that, okay, this is the last time we're doing this and that. So I've had the chance to kind of think about it, process it, absorb it. I think the thing that's working in favor of me right now is because I've seen so many reels that, you realize later that these were the best days you've lived. I know that, this is the time that I still have with my friends, so I'm trying to make as many memories as possible. So that's kind of helping me process this, I think, but I will still cry as much on the last day.
Fair enough. So let's go on a little nostalgic trip. So do you remember your first week, the O week of when you just entered campus, just out of school?
Yes. So I think it was somewhere in September 2022. Yes, September 2022. And O week had happened. So thankfully for me, the good thing was that I had a senior from school here, Ashoka here. And for me, he was kind of like and he's actually a brother kind of figure. So I came in and he was there to welcome me and my parents and my brother, and he was like, okay, like I'm not coming to an extremely strange place. I have somebody who I know here. Plus I also had a friend from school, so they both of us are from the same school in Lucknow. So there was also like another person that I kind of knew. So it wasn't an absolutely alien place. Plus I had heard so much about Ashoka. I'd heard that there will be a PS5 in the common room. Okay. Even though like I don't know, I just play like very few games, but I was very excited about that. I had heard about cross access for the first time and I was like, oh my god, I don't know how that works. So it was a lot of expectation, and then I come into this place, and for some reason the first place that I explore in the night is the library. I'm like, oh my god, so many books, and it's just stuck in. Since then I've just never been there. So it was like just ironic but very interesting. My cohort leaders I think were Karnav and Kashish. Like both of them were like 1 year senior to me, and it was a very interesting like batch, the cohort group that I had, because there were people from so many like different states. I remember one of my first interactions I had was with a person called Onkale. She was from Northeast, and it was just very interesting to because like I come from Lucknow, so there's not that much exposure in terms of like geographical diversity, and here you come into a room and they're like, okay, let's play a game and let's try and be cool, and it was very interesting. I remember we had the Sopan thing also, and it was just very crazy. Nobody was using their brains. We were just like running around. But it was a lot of fun. So I think those are like the few memories I have. Also my like first roommate. So her name is Shrima. She's from Delhi. Okay. And I was very nervous about having a roommate because like at home I have a room to myself. And I was like, I don't know how it works. So the moment I come in, she has like her entire cupboard like outside. She's trying to help set up. And I'm like, yeah, I'll help. And for some reason, the thing that we bond over, she's like, oh, do you listen to Taylor Swift? I have never heard Taylor Swift. I'm like, yes. The only song that I know is Love Story. I'm like, let's start with Love Story. We start singing. I help her set up. That was, kind of our easing movement with each other. So I think, those are the kind of memories I have.
Are you an only child?
No. I have a younger sibling. Okay. But they kept us in different rooms after one point when we started fighting too much.
Fair enough. No, because I'm an only child, so I relate with the fact that sharing a room with someone is a very new feeling. Yeah. Somehow, I also got lucky that I found a good roommate, so it was chill. It was not very difficult to settle in. Yeah. But the library thing also I relate a lot because I went to the library in my OV for the course registration. Okay. For the pre-registration for FCs, and then I just never returned to the library.
Exactly.
Yeah. So. Obviously you had people you knew, so you did not have much struggle settling in. How was obviously you talked about meeting people from different places. So it's difficult for a lot of people to open up to talk to different people. So some tips on like the conversation?
Yeah. So, I think it was like obviously the good was more than kind of the nervousness of having people, I remember Shashwat had called me to his room, I think on the second day, and he was like, okay, meet my friends. And there were like 20 people in that RH3 room. And I got so scared because I remember I came in with a pen and there was one of his friends sitting there and she was very confused. She's like, oh, are you holding like a thing that is not allowed on campus? And I was like, no, this is, just a pen.
Okay.
I have not done anything wrong. So it was kind of a mix of having like senior people know you. But at the same time, I was very excited about college. I'm a big Bollywood buff.
Right.
So I had seen like Chichore, Three Idiots, all kind of movies. So I was like, I really want to go out and meet people. So I remember on the first night itself, I was just roaming around whoever. And in the first week, I think, you are too excited. Like anybody you see just walking by, you'll go and say, hi, hello, I am this
Everyone
person.
is in that mood. They're
exactly. So I went, I spoke to a bunch of people. I don't think they remember me or I remember them very accurately now. But it was, so I think I put in a little more extra effort because in school, yes, I was a person who really loved interacting with people, but you get a little like comfortable with the same people that you've spent your 14 years with. So it is definitely a jump in your first year when you try interacting with a lot. But I feel even for people who say are not that like comfortable going out right away, it's not that important because now if you see in hindsight, sure you met like say 100 people that week, but not all of them kind of stayed with you.
Fair.
So even if you just say speak to your roommate or go out and speak to people on your floor, you speak to your RA, maybe just make like one friend from that week. Like that's enough. You don't need to push yourself because it is a very hard time. You've suddenly come away from family. It's a completely new place. Thankfully, I feel Ashoka in a lot of other ways does try and make you comfortable. Like in the cohort week, like idea itself, they try and push you with student interaction. So you're not like absolutely like alone like most of the time. They literally force you into places with other people, which I think is a good thing. I remember there was also on the point of like the people that you take away. There's this person called Aryan Mathur who I met on my second day. Me and Shruti, we were just walking. I remember walking with a bucket from the tuck shop because for some reason I did not think bringing a bucket on campus was important. And then I go and I meet him in RH3 and that person became like my closest friend for so many years. He's such a close friend till date. Like he is my best friend. And I just feel, out of those 100 people, just one or two people actually stick with you for so long. And he was one of them who I met completely accidentally. I was not going out of my way and, being like, oh, I want to meet you. I was peacefully carrying away my bucket from Duck Shop and that's how I met him. So I feel things do happen on their own as well. You don't need to push yourself too much.
Right. So OV and even the first semester for that matter, you are on that high of meeting people, but Ashoka tends to get rigorous over time. So have you ever felt that maybe this place is not for me? Have you ever had that feeling?
So definitely I feel a lot of times. And it comes at different points. So for example, with respect to academics, I came from an ICSE board. And citations was something completely new. Thankfully, my friends who were from IB boards, they had a little bit of sense of that, so they used to help me. But also sometimes, you feel I did so much. Like I literally just gave my boards and still I come here and I basically don't know anything. Because the way Ashoka teaches you to read, to think critically, it's a very new way. So a lot of times I think I felt that kind of mismatch. I started off as a prospective psychology major, and then I had friends who were doing psychology, and I listened to them. The things that really used to excite them, I had no interest in it. Like with all due respect to psychology majors, they get really excited about how the brain works or clinical psychology, and it did not make sense to me. I'm like, I don't know why this is so exciting. And that was kind of my realization point that, okay, this is not for me. I need to find something else that, makes more sense. And I gradually found my way into political science. So academics, I do feel there are a lot of points that just make you feel a little lost. I also feel socially you have those points. And surprisingly for me, it came very late. It came, I think, in my second year spring semester. Then I had Orators, I had Banjaara. And then just on some random night, I was standing in ACO2 first floor outside 108. And I was like, this place does not make sense. People want to go out, they want to party every day. I don't feel like partying every day at that point. There was just so many things that everybody has their very solid friend groups. I have a lot of friends, but I don't feel I have a very solid friend group as of now. I have one-on-one bonds, but say where is my ZNMD trio core that will be with me after college. So there are those points, but I feel you just need to give yourself time, because now say if I look at that moment like 2 years ago, I feel it still made a lot of sense to me, but I also know that okay, I overcame it in a lot of senses. So Ashoka does make you feel a little lost, but it does give you the space. I think the best thing about Ashoka is at least I have found personal space here.
Right.
Like my current roommate also, there are times that I go into my room and I absolutely have a breakdown. She'll check on me once. She'll be like, do you want anything? And if I say no, she'll put on her earphones and give me that space.
Right.
And that is a very important space that I also feel a lot of people may not have at home. You go at any point in like on campus, anywhere at 4 a.m., you can be safe and have that time to process. So I feel in that way Ashoka helps you like deal with a lot of people.
Right. So you mentioned Orators. So in the middle of settling in figuring out Ashoka, how did you come across Orators Club?
So again, coming back to Shashwat Bhaiya, he was the president of Orators back then.
Oh, okay.
And so I was very interested in speaking in school itself. Like I used to be in like elocution and debate and stuff. So I was like, okay, this is definitely something I want to try. I did try for other things as well. I remember I tried for DGR, could not get in. Tried for a few other things, but Orators was the thing that I applied for. It was strategy and operations, the events vertical. I went in. He was very clear that he did not want to interview me because he was like, oh, this nepo thing will come, so I am not going to interview you. So my HOD for Start and Kavya, she interviewed me.
Okay.
And she was like, okay, you have like decent, like ideas. I applied for HOD, I got a member, and I was like, okay, I'm happy. And I learned so much from that place because I remember there was this Halloween event that we had to do. And I think I was not even the POC for that. There was just like a stall that we had to put up, which now in Ashoka theory is like a very normal thing to do. At that point, it was like a huge thing to put up a stall in the mess house. And nobody showed up. So I had to call like my own friends to be like, listen, we need to cut the craft paper and make something for Halloween. And I put up that stall, and the amount of satisfaction that gave me. Barely 50 people came to that stall, but it was such a fulfilling experience that was the first thing that I kind of did in Ashoka. Orators just became home for me. I remember when Kavya stepped down, she kind of entrusted me with the position of the HOD as well. Okay. And then we did like things like faculty debate and open mics and stuff like that. Orators became the first community space where I essentially did not have like pre-made friends.
Right.
I made friends based on mutual respect.
Okay.
And I feel like that is something that I carried forward after Orators as well. I made, like when you sit down and you're dealing with a crisis, but you know this person is not going to leave me and run away. You're hungry at like 2 a.m., you go take a break, get something from tuck shop, but you're sitting and you're doing stuff. And I feel it has a lot to do with the kind of people that I met there. Like I think I got very lucky. They were brilliant individuals. Right. All of them after Orators also went into like different clubs and societies, and they created this culture where I feel at one point clubs were getting very corporate-y, show up, on time, take minutes of the meeting and stuff like that. But Orators was the place that kind of made me feel like home. We sure still had a structure, but it was more about passion. Right. It was not necessarily about the number of people you bring to the event. It was, I really feel like even for 10 people, this is going to mean a lot.
Fair.
So I think, that is how I got associated with Orators, and it became like home.
I really like this way of thinking that club society should create an environment for people in the clubs as well as people around it. And I feel I related with Orators, and I like being in Orators because that thinking is still followed. It's not more of that, okay, this is such a formal meeting that you have to do. It's a chill discussion meeting with the members that will get the work done, but also how are you? How are you doing?
Exactly.
So I feel that helps a lot in building relations with the members as well, because they also get some. They are also like, I like my leadership. These people will help me.
Yeah.
So they also work more, I feel.
And I remember this was a very difficult change to kind of push through, because when I became president the next year with Priti and Radha, I think first half of the monsoon sem, we tried getting people to work, and it was not happening. Like people were really tired because there's a lot going on with every person's life. So I remember we made this change where we called everybody to a meeting, and for the first 40 minutes of the meeting, we were playing games.
Okay.
Like we had we had Antakshari, we had different kind of like acts and solve a murder mystery, something. And initially people were really upset with it because they were like, listen, I have committed my 1 hour to this.
Yeah.
Let me come and let me do my work and let me, go to like do other stuff I need food to eat, which is very valid. But I think we really push for this culture that you were doing this in like 10 other places.
Right.
If you don't have this one place where you can come, unwind and feel like, okay, I'm actually breathing, then this won't happen. So even though there was a lot of backlash, I feel like by the end of the year, it became a culture in Orators that people actually started appreciating. That if you don't want to be a part of this, then you'd have to kind of work through it with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a difficult change, but I think it was a very important change.
I totally agree. So coming to you being the president, some things you are really proud of that you did as a president, or because I remember when we did a podcast with Simran Krish, they keep mentioning you when we talked about leadership. So anything that you are really proud of, that, or core memories you remember as the president of that?
Yeah. So I think this was firstly, I think the culture change was very important because me, Dhriti and Radha, we had a meeting, I remember, with Shashwat, who was the ex-president by then, where he came and he's like, listen, your club is not happy.
Okay.
Like, people have come to me and they're like, what are these 3 women trying to do with us? Like, it's just either you're trying to level up the events or you're trying to just, improve the quality without actually taking people on board. And that's when we realized that this culture shift is very, very important. So I think that was the realization, and then the games and just a different way of leading really helped us, which brought us together as a community. Other than that, I remember I just had this in my head that I want to do something very different from what has happened. So we went all out, whether it was marketing. So I remember we did this, I think, student speaker series, a faculty debate for one of the 2. I got people to stand with the signs in front of the RHs that come to this event. We got chalk, we do a big arrow sign in front of the RH just pointing towards ACO 4005, and that was crazy. People who were juniors were embarrassed to do that, and I'm like, listen, you need to come out of this zone. We need to, do something different. Then all the 3 of us, we really wanted to do something in Reddies and in Black Box, because we're like, this is the usually kind of field that only performing art deserves, and we wanted to put oratory on the map. We're like, listen, even orators can, go up and do something there. And we had this event called NIJ, in which I'm forgetting the name of the person who came, who was a very important person. Somebody came, a very important figure came. He was the, I think, ex-president of Niti Aayog, and it was a huge deal. And I remember we had this whole thing in Reddies. We had to coordinate with Imran Ali Sir and the Vice Chancellor and a lot of people, and we filled the Reddies with 250 people. And for a club like Orators, which at least at that point was considered tier 2, which still breaks my heart, this tier system of clubs. For that club to get 250 people into Reddies was a huge thing. People were like, okay, something is happening. You're doing something wrong. And then we had a final showcase in Black Box, which a lot of people kind of consider a bad decision, which was Doordarshan. I still love it. I absolutely love it because it was a bunch of people who have no clue about dance, music or theatre, who just know how to speak. Try and get in the field of performing arts and put up something in the Black Box. So I remember we had done this dance drama where there was people were dancing to poetry. We had a musical in which there was speech and music going on. And sure, there were just 50 to 100 people in that Black Box, but it put Orators in the mark. Till date, it's the only thing that I've performed in the Black Box, and I'm sure it is the truth for a lot of Orators people. So I think it was just this very weird ambition and passion that, okay, this is what we have to achieve. Everybody come together and do that. And I have to give it to my members at that point because everybody knew Doordarshan was a bad idea. Still, they stuck by us. They were like, no, you want to do it, we want to do it. Even if one person comes to watch it, we will do this. So I think it was a great experience. So I'm really happy that, Simran Krish brought this up. And even if it stays with some people, it does.
Because I feel the things you mentioned, standing with sign board cards and performing Doordarshan, I feel that can only happen after you mentioned the cultural shift you mentioned. if you have that bond with your team, if you feel good in the team, I believe that's only when you get the motivation to work on these events, and you're like, okay, even if people don't show up, we'll do it for our fun.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. But coming to Banjaara, you also mentioned Banjaara. You are the DFS for operations, right?
Yes.
So I'll not go into the details of how a fest is done, but over the years I've realized fests have increased on campus. There is sort of fest fatigue on campus as well. That in the spring semester, every weekend has a new fest. At least that's what happened last semester when I was there. So has it increased over the year, or it has always been like this?
So I think fest fatigue is a relatively new concept because when I joined in my first year, so I was part of Banjaara in my first year and second year. First year as a member, second year as a DFS. At that point, only 3 fests used to happen. It was Banjaara, which was the cultural fest, Equilibrium, Econsop Fest, and Agnipath. After that, I think from last year, it was that a lot of people started coming up with their own ideas and they had differentiating factors enough. I think to the point of fest fatigue, I understand from a student perspective that it can be really heavy on your kind of, cognitive experience because there's just too much things happening. But I think because I've seen it from the other side as well, at least on behalf of MA, a lot of academic societies do this because they want to get that platform that they haven't gotten all these years, right? Because why should say only those 3 fests exist versus the others not? So, and plus I feel when those only 3 fests existed, there was a certain sense of exclusivity and privilege, that not privilege in the sense of like only certain people get in, but if you get in, the others do. Now, because there are so many opportunities, every person at least gets to experience creating a fest in one or the other. I think the problem of fest fatigue definitely needs to be solved. I think both as a coordination between the admin and the students so that they can club together certain similar fest. But I also realize the importance that it is for every academic society or every independent body who's doing a fest, and if it's impacting even 1 or 2 students who initially did not feel included in a certain way, but now feel included. So I think that's to the point of fest fatigue. Your other point about Banjaara was?
No, this was the basic question that the fests have increased over time. I also talk to people on campus, they're like, why are so many fests happening? But I feel that every club or society that wants to do a large scale event, people just come together if you name it as a fest and you have larger events happening all around campus. So I do agree that there are a lot of fests happening, but I also get their point because I've been part of Agnipath, I've been part of Banjaara. So I get why people do fest. I get why it is so exciting.
And I feel being a part of a fest is just a totally different experience because having been a part of like a club and a ministry, that is a marathon. Like, you have to be consistent and there's something coming at the end of it. A fest is like a race. Like it starts one day and on the fest day it just ends. And the experience that you have the day it ends, the sleepless nights that you have 2 weeks before, it is like Banjaara was one of the most core and beautiful experiences for me. Also because operations was a very different experience. Like I was a member in travel and hospitality in my first year. And the only reason why I applied there was because I had never done something like that. I was always a very event-centric person. That is what I did in Orators as well. I was like, let's try travel hospitality. I have no clue what happens there. And then randomly I'm at Jahangir Puri telling people to get in the metro. One time I was about to be kidnapped there also because it's not very safe for women, clearly. And it was a mix of things. And then the next year I was like, okay, let's also try something with safety, security and admin. And it was just an amazing experience. I remember this very funny incident where all of us had walkie-talkies and the safety security HOD, like one of the HODs, it was Achintya and Manas. They get me on the walkie-talkie and they're like, I am dealing with a monkey problem. And I genuinely thought it was a metaphor. Like, I was dealing with a monkey problem. Later I come to know there was a monkey. And for some reason, the Ashoka security just told our security HODs to go and deal with it. So like poor Manas went and I don't know what he tried doing with the monkey and like tried throwing it away. It was just too fun.
I think we'll have to talk to Manas also about that.
Yes.
I was dealing with a monkey for a fest.
It is like just you can't describe the experience of being a part of a college fest. So I feel even if there are too many of them, if it lets every individual have that experience once, like it's truly good.
Yeah, I agree. even I have a funny anecdote of being part of travel and hospitality.
Yeah.
Because even I am a very event-centric person or like creative person, but travel and hospitality was something I was like, why not? Let's try. So I did it for Shatranj last year. My role was to stand at the gate and manage the vendor entry exit. But somehow in the morning, I'm told that I have to go to Jahangirpuri. And I'm there for 3-4 hours just guiding people that this is gate 4.
Yeah.
Here you need to exit for the shuttle. So yeah, that was a very... At that time, I was like, why did I sign up for this? But now that I look back at it, I was like, yeah, it was funny. It was fun.
Exactly. And plus, I feel because I had both experiences in my second year, Orators versus Banjaara was also a very distinct experience because now that I look back at it, I think I can think much more clearly. Orators, I was trying to form a community.
Right.
Like, I wanted people to, just like come together and do something. Versus Banjaara, at least with my teams, I knew I had to take a very different approach. Also because I think I was the first female DFS of operations after a very long time. And I had this reality in my head that in the end, if some gundas come at the gate, I can't physically deal with them. Yeah. So I need a team that can really, really trust me. That if I say that, guys, we have to take this decision, we will have a discussion after that, but they need to trust me with that decision then. And I used to be very mean in those meetings. Like, I remember the core of like the HODs that we have for the 3 departments. Supposing the meeting starts at 9:30. For anybody who came at 9:32, I used to say something like, listen, this is operations. If you come 2 minutes late in an emergency, we don't need you at all. And that was like a real shocker for people because one hand they've seen me like all like, motherly and getting food for people in Orators, and here they're like, okay, you come 2 minutes late and you're not required. And that was the culture that I think they also kind of disseminated into the people because this was a real serious business. Yeah. But in the end, I think I became so tight with the core that I remember there was this team that had come from some college that we could not have let. I was standing there, and with me there were like 2 other guys. There was Ziv, who was the head of admin, and I think there was Manas. And they just stood there. They're like, this woman is going to talk, but if you take a step ahead, then you have to deal with us. So we became like family in the end, but I knew from the start that here I'm building a community, here I'm building a team.
Right.
So the attitude difference also has to be there, which in hindsight, I do think I was a little mean too much at times, but I think a lot of those things were important. So,
I think you can't handle security by being sweet.
Yeah.
Because you have to run around campus, you are also frustrated that why is this happening? Crisis at the last moment.
Yeah.
So I think being mean must have helped
in
the
some
fest.
ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have also led Ministry of Academic Affairs last year. So why Ministry of Academic Affairs specifically? You also joined MAA in your first year.
Yes. So I don't know how you've done this research, by the way. Ministry I joined in my second year, but Ministry wasn't a really active thing on campus then. Like, I remember there was probably like 2 online meetings that happened. I don't think I attended probably 1. So it was a very passive thing happening in the background. But and second year I had Orators in Banjaara. Ministry was just something that I felt attached to the cause of it because I was like, there are so many academic problems that exist on campus. Also, being like a former potential psychology person, I didn't get my psych. Like, I just didn't get intro to psych. I did SRM and I dropped the weight. I was a part of it. I think after Banjaara, I had this huge void because Orators was about to end. Banjaara was a huge thing that just ended, and I did not know what to do. And at that point, when I was looking through forms, I just realized, okay, I have been a part of Ministry. I don't think it has matched its potential yet. Maybe I can, do something here. Okay. And I just filled the form. I read through the mandate very carefully. And this was also the time that I was in London for LSE, summer school. So I was doing this from there, but I just had this really strong urge that I want to make a difference. I feel I've been a part of clubs and fests. Now I want to do something else. Like, I don't want to be in the same structure. And I had my interview and the Ministry happened. And that's when I was like, okay, now we're going to go with a completely different mindset. So community bana liya, team bana liya. And now we have to do something very different because in Orators, I had like an end goal that, okay, we want an award. Yeah. And we did end up getting 2 awards. In Banjaara, we were like, okay, I want to make this club very, very safe and a good experience for all. In the Ministry, you have no end goal.
Yeah.
And when people came also, there were a lot of good applicants. And I was very confused. I'm like, why are you people here? Because Ministry is not something that will say look very good on your CV because it doesn't have a name yet. You're not going to get an award in the end. This is not like a fresh experience that's going to be fun. So I told them from the very start that nobody in Ashoka recognizes us, no matter what you do. Nobody's going to thank you. Like, and especially I've seen this with other ministries who were, say, more established than Jazba does phenomenal events as a part of what they do. And still what you will hear in the end is, oh, ye acha nahi hua.
Right.
And I like my heart goes out to them because I see the amount of work that they put in. So I was like, वो तो चलो फिर भी जज्बा है. तुम MA हो, ठीक है, तुम्हें कुछ कोई नहीं जानता. So what will happen? But somehow I think I was very lucky to have this team, and I structured it in a way where I was like, I need to deal with the scratch of the problems. There was no one policy document that existed. And it's been 10 years of Ashoka. So I was very confused that when you want to look at a policy, where do you go? And we realized there was nothing. The handbooks had not been updated since 2019. That is before COVID. So I'm like, I don't know how people are like existing, what they're looking at. And these were problems I had faced in my first 2 years. So I was like, okay, to deal with this, we'll form policy and resources. Then there was collaboration. So I was like, I want to collaborate with every single body on this campus. And not just with clubs and societies. I want to go out and I want to collaborate, say, with centers. I want to collaborate with the RAs on campus. And there was also like the mandate laid down that there was supposed to be an academic societies collective. So the way Jazba has it for clubs and
societies.
Usually I think there was this confusion that academic societies also comes under that. When academic societies technically not comes under, but is supposed to be facilitated by MA. I was like, okay, we'll form this. Then we'll form the board of reps. Like we get all the reps in board. And I remember the first meeting I had with them, they were so happy. They were like, finally somebody's talking to us, because usually neither our seniors talk to us, nor the department is really, like willing to talk. So when post-ed is happening and students are really like getting on my nerves, who do I talk to? At least I can talk to the other reps. So that was how the collabs vertical came into place. And then there was social media, because I feel no matter how much marketing you do, if you can just scroll and, see that, okay, this policy means this, that's what's going to happen. And the ministry just happened that way. I remember going to OA the first day. And they were like, you who? Like, kyun aaye ho tum, kya chahiye humse? And I was persistent. Like, in a week, I used to go 3 days a week being like, please tell me how the cross-list policy works. Please tell me this, that. And I think that was just the starting of it. We did a lot of things. Like, I think especially one of the biggest things that happened was the MA open group and the general policy document. And I feel students really benefited from it. People started talking about MA. I don't know whether it was the students within who told their friends that's why they were talking about it, or people genuinely started talking. I think that gave a lot of satisfaction to these people, because I was very clear that we are not going to apply for awards, which in the end also we did not. But it was just this feeling of satisfaction that you did something that helped something. And I remember the previous year there were 170 students who could not graduate because they did not know some policy. Like they fucked up the cross-list policy or some other policy. And I was like, we just need to get this 170 to 0. And I think we got to a very close number to about like I think 3 or 5 students itself. I think that gap was the thing that helped us sleep well at night. So I think that's how it was.
Right. So okay. You mentioned the general group, the MA WhatsApp group, and also the general policy document. I have been really grateful to MA for that one WhatsApp group, because every time even if I don't have any doubts, someone or the other puts some doubt on the group, and I'm like, okay, this is the policy, this can help me in this way. So even if I am not confused about anything, confusion of other people or MA just helping other people also helps me. So thank you for that, first of all. And also for the department handbooks. It seems like a very basic fundamental thing, but were there department handbooks before MA built it?
So all of them were there, but they were like updated last 2019. And 2019 say like what, 2024? 2025, 2024, that was when I joined. That was a huge gap, right? So even when I became a pol-sci major and I was like, I want to see my graduation requirements, I'm like, you're telling me graduation requirements from 2019, that does not help. And thankfully, I had like a team that was very passionate about the same stuff, and they were not like third years. Most of them, like some of them were third years, most of them were like second years and first years, and we had one fourth year. And they have gone to the reps and they've helped the reps absolutely badger the departments, being like, please just give us the updated guidelines. And it seems like a very basic thing, right? That, okay, the department HOD, you will know what the department guidelines are. They don't, because they have to consult their entire like faculty. They have to like, I don't know, get in touch with the dean of academy. Because it's a long process. So it took us months and months to just get that thing updated.
Okay.
But thankfully, like I think majority of it got done, which seemed like a big feat to us.
Also, like you mentioned, people may not talk much about MA. I feel when a ministry is working much on policy, people talk a lot about Jazba because the events are in your face. That event is happening on the campus, so you'll obviously talk about it. But I feel MA works behind the doors, so there are policies that they work on which people may not notice directly. But it's the course registration when people like, where are the handbooks? Where is the MA folder? So I feel that's points where you realize that how much of the work the ministry does.
I really hope, because what we tried was obviously majority of our part like work was behind the scenes, but see the things that we did, we got the academic society awards in place, because I felt really sad that listen, you have like a whole thing for like clubs and societies. Poor academic societies are just trying to get in somewhere. And we were like, and this was something that OA initially was very like not in favor of, because they were like, the budget has been set. So either you should have come up with this idea way before. And we went and we begged and begged and begged and we negotiated, and thankfully, because again, budget was theirs and the decision was theirs. So a lot of work had to be done from the admin side, and they were in the end just with us on board, and they did all of that very sweetly. I feel incidents like those is also something that I hope that people kind of look back at, because we tried not being just about one thing, not just about policy, or even I remember the sports accommodation policy, which seemed like a very basic thing that, sports people should have access. And they were like, no. And we had to come up with a structure, and that took like 3 months of work. But in the end, when it came out, and I know that maybe say first years who come on campus, they have no clue that, this was not a thing that used to exist. I feel we don't need that kind of recognition. Even if they get something that they should have deserved earlier on, the people who worked on it, like especially my entire team, because I feel they are the actual ones who worked on it, they do feel a sense of, okay, we did our part and we don't need that fame necessarily.
I think it must reflect to them when, for example, I knew about the policy before it was coming into action because I was in the sports ministry.
Right.
So when this time, last semester, it came into action this year.
Yeah.
So last semester when I was going through course registrations and course outlines, there they mentioned in the absence policy that 2 excuse absence for sports persons. That's when I realized that when the members or the team must look at these lines in the course catalog, that's when they must realize, okay, the work we have done has done some good.
Exactly. And there used to be like just 2 people per project. Like the way I structured the collabs team was that everybody pitches their own projects, and every person for like a semester works on 2 projects. So it wasn't a team of like, we were a whole team of 40 people, but every person was doing 2 projects in itself. And it was a very small team, but I have to like give it to them that they all pulled off.
So I also came across AUSSC, which is the Ashoka University Student Scholarly Committee. Do you want to talk about that? How did you build that up?
Yeah. So it was scholarly communication.
Okay.
What happened was that I think it was Sachi and Shrupi's idea that they wanted to do something, and obviously Tisha and Isha were the HODs. They wanted to build a repository in Ashoka that you like everybody produces a great ton of academic work, right? And irrespective of quality, whether you're starting from first year or you're a season like 4th year, we don't have access to all of that.
Right.
Like, and I don't mean like, for this course, like I want the same question, that's why I want the answers. There's a lot of great academic work that is being produced, but it's being stored nowhere. Right. And we asked the library, we asked the OA, building at least the thesis papers that, 4th years, like, where are they? And they were like, most of them are not stored. And we were like, okay, this is the gap that we want to seal. So we had meetings with the Dean of Academic Affairs, Director of Academic Affairs. Then we went to the library. We were like, create a portal where students can upload the papers. And then there were a lot of nitty-gritty. Because obviously, like, sometimes the question remains the same. You're giving me an access to like a black site that I can just go and get papers from. I said, first, that already exists. Secondly, let's put in place a system where students start getting inspired from other people's papers, and you also set a culture of like appreciating each other's academic work, because in the end Ashoka is a very academically rigorous institution. So we had to like go through like plagiarism trainings. I remember Turnitin was something that Turnitin, there was another software that we learned. And the team had to actually sit through workshops with the library team to, get through all of that. But even Shantanu sir, who's the head of the library, really helped us. He was really sweet. I remember there was a lot of issue in the end because we had to get, I think, approval from the registrar because you're using the word Ashoka University SSC. And in the end, I don't think we got a closure in my year, but I'm hoping like this year we'll have like a good wrap up to the project.
Right. Hopefully. That's what.
Yes.
And also coming to this year's ministry, what do you think of that? The minister, the HODs must be people already in your team before, so must have interacted with them.
So I think majority of the HODs are people who were there from last year.
Right.
So the head this year is Tisha, who was last year the HOD of Collabs. And we have the deputants as Navya and Rishika, who are also people from the team last year. I think they're doing a great job because, again, when I restarted the ministry and restructured it in a way, I am a very mad person. Like, I do not sleep, I do not eat, I just keep on doing the ministry work. And I somehow try to push that kind of enthusiasm from the others who are working with me as well. So I think it does take a very motivated leadership when you're doing the kind of work that does not necessarily guarantee you recognition in the end. And I'm so happy that, Tisha, Navya, Rishika, all three of them have that. I think the ministry has been able to maintain and do beyond to what it was already doing, because even small things like just maintaining the open room in itself is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because last year the members who were there, they were thorough with the policies. To kind of get a new team on board, make the members thorough enough, and then continue the work, I think in itself is a big thing. Plus they've taken a lot of new initiatives. So I think what they're doing is great. I also know that they started a support in policy or support in research. I think that's a new vertical that they've started that just goes out to students and talks to them and understands their perspective, which was not there in my time. I think that's a great idea. Like the fact that you're actually going out there and getting very first-hand feedback. So I think like that's what they're doing great, and I'm really, really, really happy.
Yeah, because the general chat, the WhatsApp group also, it's very spontaneous.
Yeah.
You put a doubt in an hour or so, someone or the other replies from the team.
Yeah.
That was really impressive. And I think that's one of the best initiatives any ministry has taken on campus. So thank you for that again. Looking back at the cabinet last year, because last year's cabinet I was really fond of because I looked up to you guys. I was like, nice. If I become a minister, I would want a cabinet like this. So any words on that? How was working with the other ministers?
So I think I was very, very lucky to have the bunch of people who were there, because all of them were absolute not only experts in the kind of ministries that they were leading, they were also equally passionate. And I think even though there was barely any overlap between the ministries, when one person was really mad about a thing kind of meets another person was equally mad, the kind of energy just kicks off. And I think I made very good friends with that cabinet, because there's a lot that goes on, right? You're with your team, you're kind of motivating them that, I'm very proud of you. But sometimes those moments also hit when you're like, listen, nothing is happening. Like, I'm pushing for this policy for 6 months now, and it's not coming through. That's when you have these other 7 people as well who are kind of going through the same thing. All of us are going to the admin, we're trying to negotiate for the best interest of the students. And we did have our share of kind of arguments as well, but it was very fun. I remember we had cabinet dinners, we had cabinet parties, and it was just the best experience. All of us used to come up with long agendas. We used to meet twice a week, and I think I took back very core friendships from there as well. I'm very good friends with Ibrahim, Saransh, Aryaman, even Padma. Urja is somebody that she graduated, so I lost a little bit of touch with, but again, I was very fond of her. Arushi was there. So Aditi, Sami, who were the presidents, vice presidents, really, really fond of them. So yeah, it was a great time.
Okay, so after your third year, when MAA was over, Orators and Banjaara was over, in your fourth year, there must be a certain board that you entered with, or that now what do I do on campus? Because this is something I am thinking about right now, because I am planning to complete my tenure in all the club societies in my second year. So I'm like, what will I do in my third year? So how was that?
So I did feel there was a certain sense of both satisfaction, but also I would say a fatigue that came in, because I had been a part of clubs, fest, ministry. I kind of felt okay, I have done a lot of the things that I really wanted to do. And plus, I feel that there's a trade-off.
Okay.
Because when you're so involved with things professionally on campus, like personally, you don't get time for a lot of things. And I think I have, touch wood, been really lucky with friends who've been so patient with me, because I'm a interesting person to deal with. Like, I will stop eating food and I will stop sleeping. And so these people have come in and they're like, have you like had anything? Do you want something? I have at least tried my best to really be able to be there for them. But I certainly feel there are people who have been there more for me. So Shruti, who I told you has been my friend since school. Like, I think she is a constant who has just, been there throughout my 4 years. Then Achintya, who I met in my second year, he's kind of like a brother figure to me. He's just been there, irrespective of whether I was in the ministry or here and there. When I'm absolutely dead at 4 a.m., he's the person who will come and he'll be like, okay, I'll get you, a burger from Nescafe. Let's watch reels. Let's do something to, just calm you down. So all of that was happening, and I genuinely felt that, okay, now in my 4th year, I want to spend time with people.
Right.
Like, I don't want to say that, I have to leave because I have a meeting to go to. So even though everybody told me that's not possible for you because you're such a workaholic, I wanted to be able to make that separation before I graduate. Because again, that's a very important experience. I feel in my 4th year, I have been able to do that a little bit. At least I'm trying to do that. All my juniors, like from Orators, from Banjaara, there's Umang, Krish, Simran, Navya, all of them, I just text them, do you want to get a meal together? There are friends that I think I lost a lot of touch with. I am actively, I just show up to their room. Like, Manas is a person, I just show up to his room and I'm like, okay, now I'm just going to be here. I have tried spending more time with them because I know that after this, you're going to different cities, so you won't be able to get a lot of that. So I don't think it's a void. It's a different change, and I think it's a healthy change because you know that you don't have to wake up because you have to go to a meeting. You have to wake up because you want to see the sun, which is a thing that I've not really done. You want to get lunch with a person. You want to go Delhi like randomly. You want to make spontaneous plans. So I think don't worry that much. It's going to take a little bit of a habit shift, but I think it's very important.
Right, because I feel that's a recurring pattern in a lot of people who work properly in club societies on campus, that they just miss out on meals, they miss out on classes also, attendance is lacking. So I feel friends really play a really important role in helping you also working. Which I feel, sometimes I also feel selfish in these scenarios when I'm like, okay, this person was there for me, but am I there for them when they need me? So I feel that's going to change. Also, this may be a little hectic question, or you'll have to think about it, but how do you want to be remembered at Ashoka?
Oh my god. Wow, that's a very good question. I think I would want to be remembered in maybe 2 ways. One would definitely be a friend, because whether it was personal relationships or professional relationships, I have really at least tried being there for the people that, like a lot of people who came into my life. And I do feel that I saw a much more heavier reciprocity. Because I, even in my, like toughest of moments, I remember when there was the SG accountability debate and like things were happening. So sweetly, my MA members, I remember, I think this was Rishika and Mehik, they got me my Fuel Zone medium coffee. Everybody knows that I take that medium coffee, and they just got me and they were like, listen, breathe. So, and I have at least tried, just texting everybody, being like, let's meet, what's going on. Not to say give advice in any way, but just be there, listen to them. If at all I can help them in any way. So one will definitely be as a friend to a lot of people. I hope I will obviously try to be a better friend always. And the second would be a person who cared. Because again, I have tried caring for not only people but a lot of causes on campus, a lot of structures on campus. I have tried contributing to change in whatever way I thought I could. Obviously, I think there were a lot of things that I could have improved on. But definitely, I don't want to be seen as a person for whom if you brought something, I would say that, this doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, even if this doesn't matter to me, but it matters to you, I will try and go out of my way to, do something about it. So I think to your very heavy question, those are two very basic answers.
No, but this is not at all basic. Really good answers. I wasn't expecting actually. I was thinking that let's grab this question because this could be very heavy, but you handled it very well. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be ending the podcast. Last question would be: who do you look up? Who do you look up to on campus? Any professors, seniors who have helped you across the way? This is just a moment to give them a shout out.
Yeah.
You have name dropped a lot of people. You have already mentioned a lot of people, but anyone?
I think let's tackle this in three distinct ways.
Okay.
For seniors, I definitely think Shashwat Bhaiya was one of my biggest inspirations. Rochan was somebody, he was the culture minister when I came in. He was also the press secretary first year of Banjaara. Like, his way of leadership was something that I really, really admire.
Right.
When it comes to professors, there is Professor Pratyana that I've now kind of taken 4 courses with. I love him. Like, the way he orates in class, like, you can just sit and, listen to him. So him, Professor Ananya Sharma, I think I'm really inspired by their work, their way of teaching. And finally, I think in overall, Pooja Manantara ma'am from SLO, she is a woman of steel. Like, initially, I remember in my first 2 years, probably, I was very scared of her. Also because I was directly working with her, so I used to, bring very random requests, ma'am, ye karna hai. Gradually, I have seen her as a very passionate woman who knows how to lead. Like, she knows exactly when to be very strict and put her foot down. But at the same time, she is the kind of person who will make a change, who knows how to create a community. So I think in my longer run, when I see what kind of leader I want to be in life, I think she is a person who I definitely look up to. So I think her, and not in Ashoka, but mom. Right. So yes, yeah.
So since I am a CS major, but I want to use my free credits for political science courses. Any must do political courses. Political science courses.
Must do political science courses. I think definitely take a course by Professor Suraj Kumar Dubey. Like, he has a very random variety of courses. He does something on football. He does something on sounds of India. Then he also does 2 very great courses on caste. The way I would say navigate political science, at least it really helped me. I took courses on caste, I took courses on gender, and I also took courses on religion. Okay. And they really gave me a more holistic view because I am somebody who's more interested in, say, culture, norms, and identity, not that much on the IR side of things. So if that is something that interests you, courses by Professor Ananya Sharma, brilliant. There was a professor called Sushmita Nath. I don't know if she's still a part of Ashoka. Brilliant professor. So I think those are must do. Even if you do 1 or 2 of them, you will really, really enjoy your time.
I've made my notes. I'll make sure to take them.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing this podcast.
Thank you so much. This was great. Thank you.
Thank you.